WGTK gives you Let's Talk with Dr. Stan Frager. From relationship problems to family feuds, he's got all the advice and expert help you'll need. Now, here's Dr. Stan Frager.
Dr. Eli Karam back with you, hour number 2, and we had a great first hour. We're talking about technology and relationships tonight, and I was joined by Dr. Kat Hartline the first hour. The second hour, a real treat. We're opening up the mailbag. I get lots of emails on my television segment every week on WBKI, Louisville Live, actually Mondays at 10 a.m., and a lot of these questions come from there. I'm joined in the booth by our producer, Kate Shawansky. How you doing, Kate?
Doing good. How about you?
So we want you to call in 502, the area code, 571-0970, 571-0970 for the next hour, talking about relationships and technology. I'm going to cover topics like Facebook, Twitter, long-distance relationships, anything you can think of. And you can do that by calling in. And I think we're starting about Facebook. Kate, do you use Facebook? Most all of us do.
I pretty much do. It's a great way to connect with people.
It is a great way. As we were saying earlier, technology is a good thing as long as you don't abuse it. So I got an email here from Rhonda in J-Town. I'll read it, and then we'll go from there. Rhonda writes, I feel like I'm constantly being interrogated by my husband about my Facebook page. He is threatened by some of the male friends I have. He wants to friend them, too, which I think is awkward, considering he doesn't even know them. How can I get him to back off? What do you think, Dr. Eli? Rhonda in J-Town. Well, Rhonda, we have some Facebook etiquette for you, and hopefully these tips will help you. But first of all, as Dr. Hartline was talking about in the first hour, one of the keys is when you're partnering in any technology, you got to be open and transparent with your partner, and that extends to your Facebook friends, any types of chats or messages. So if you're a friend with someone on there, your partner should know about them. And if they ask about who is that person, don't get defensive about it. So that has to be the first cue. Be transparent. Second, don't post when you should just talk. Have you ever been on Facebook, Kate, and you see these people's walls where they're having a long dialogue back and forth?
Oh, those conversations, those clog up the news feed, and sometimes you don't want other people reading that. That's what messaging is for.
Yeah, and I just tell people, pick up the phone. So don't post when you should talk, because I don't want to read it, and you probably should not be airing all of your information like that anyway.
Absolutely.
Also, be careful about the photos you post. The digital footprint. Anything you post, even though you might think it's harmless fun, and you might take it down the next day, especially if you post it in a drunken state or less than coherent state. You don't want to post something that come back to haunt you, or something that maybe your partner wouldn't want you to post. So
same goes for status updates too.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. You should never post or tweet or anything like that under the influence, or you might be sorry. And avoid, kind of tied into that, step number 4, avoid PDA or TMI, too much information. I mean, how many times do you post something in a compromised state, or you share too much information about what you were thinking, what you ate for dinner, or something like that? And know when to log off, as we were saying in the last hour. A lot of people, too much of a good thing. Facebook's great, but if you are spending 3-4 hours a night when you could be spending that time with your partner, getting other stuff done, work, schoolwork, whatever, too much of a good thing is never good, and that can certainly be Facebook. So, Rhonda, hopefully your husband, I think it is a little awkward if he was friending people he didn't know too, because I don't know, Kate, when you get friend requests, if you don't know the person, will you accept that or not?
I'll direct message and ask them, have I met you somewhere? Have we lost touch? But if they don't respond back, then delete.
Yeah, delete. And I would say, so don't friend them, but just let your husband know who these people are. And remember, no Facebook friend is worth messing up a relationship, certainly a committed relationship or a marriage. So if it's between your spouse or the Facebook, hopefully your spouse will win every time. Again, you're listening to Dr. Eli here, sitting in for Dr. Stan tonight. You're missing Dr. Stan, go to www.frager.com, and you're going to be able to see all the tips from Tony and Dr. Stan. He will be back with a great show next week. We're talking about relationships, technology, all tonight till 10 o'clock. You want to call us at 502-571-0970. And back to Facebook before we go off that. You know, some of these people, too, one of my peeves, this idea of the joint account. Have you ever seen a couple and they think it's cute, so they'll, like, have the combined account? I'm not a big fan of that either. I saw one of those today. So keep your own account. And remember, if you do change your status, the other pet peeve is people that are changing their status every day. Single. It's complicated. We're in a relationship again. Remember, put a boundary on that, as we were talking about in the first hour. Don't share. It's great to be able to connect with people, let people into your life, but don't share your whole life. If you're wondering, we'll be back after the break talking more. You can check me out at www.elikaram.com. That's ELIKARAM, like AM radio. And there you will be able to see a lot of what marriage and family therapists do, not just me. I'm a president-elect of the Kentucky Association of Marriage and Family Therapy. And you will be able to get lots of good advice, see all of kind of immediate clips, the TV show, and various radio segments promoting relationship health and the practice of marriage and family therapy. So give us a call, 571-0970. Coming up, we'll be talking about Twitter. Do you tweet?
I do tweet. I am an avid Twitterer.
Yeah, I don't tweet myself, but I do realize that you can get yourself into trouble by tweeting, and many of those same rules we follow at the same time. When you tweet, what types of information do you share?
I use Twitter basically to follow celebrities or people that don't want to deal with Facebook, don't want to deal with the games, all the little problems with Facebook. But usually for Twitter, I'll basically say, like, if a new show is coming on, can't wait for the new episode, who else is excited for? Just something to kind of connect with people that enjoy the same things I do.
Right. And I think that's a good use of technology or Twitter to follow other people, to share things you're excited about. I don't know about posting about myself, though. I don't, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty grandiose, but I don't even think I'm as important that people would want to follow what I'm doing. So probably a good idea not to post, again, updates on your relationship or your family life on Twitter.
Yeah, if you want to learn about that, all these relationships, just go to Perez Hilton and you'll find all about the celeb stuff.
You did bring up a good point in the break, Kate, on Facebook, that some people, they're chatting with other people on there, but you can waste a lot of time on Facebook, too, that can impact your other important relationships. You were talking about people that game on there a lot or do some of that other stuff. Yeah,
there are a lot of games that people send you requests to, and a lot of the times they have added in the past year or so that you can block apps now, so people can't send you that. So that really cuts down on all the spamming that goes through Facebook. But a lot of times people they'll badger you enough to where you just want to quit Facebook altogether. So gaming is definitely a big pet peeve of myself for Facebook.
Some people are taking this Facebook hiatus. They realize, like anything, they've gone overboard, and they just suspend their account for a while. I know a lot of couples that I work with and other marriage and family therapists work with, if they go through a relationship change, rather than posting it to the world, they just suspend their status, and sometimes maybe that's not a bad idea. That being said, as we talk about technology tonight, again, feel free to call us, please, 571-0970. That's area code 502. But there's lots of good, Facebook, you can tell a lot about that person by their Facebook account. It's great to post information about your family, about your kids. I know if you look at my page, you learn a lot about me, and you see a lot of pictures of my kids and what I'm doing. It always worries me when I see someone's Facebook page, and they're supposed to be in a married or committed relationship, and you log on, and it looks like they're on the market. They are single. They're kind of in these provocative pictures, and it's like, man, you're supposed to be in a committed relationship, and that gets people into a lot of trouble, as we were saying a few minutes ago. So you got to be really clear on, as Kat was talking about in the last hour, of what you post and what you don't. And that should be a dialogue you have with your partner. That being said, Facebook is a great technology, probably the biggest technology, biggest breakthrough social networking of the last decade, if not ever. And it's something I'm not sure if I could do without at this point, yet at the same time it gets people into a lot of trouble if they're not practicing our rules. Those rules, again, be open and transparent with your partner about what you post. Don't post when you should just talk. Be careful about the photos you post. Avoid too much information, and please know when to log off. If you're listening to us online, we hope you're not going to log off at least until 10 o'clock. And if you're listening on WGTK 970, keep listening. Get a hold of us at 571-0970. We will be back in a couple of minutes. Dr. Stan will return next week. This is Eli Karam. Dr. Eli, get a hold of me at www.elikaram.com.
Calling Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Frager.
You found Let's Talk with Dr. Stan Frager. Dr. Stan Frager is standing by to give you insight on issues that matter most to you. Call now, 571-0970.
Dr. Eli Karam back with you. You're listening to Let's Talk with Dr. Stan Frager. Dr. Stan will be back next week. We're talking relationships and technology. Give us a call at 502-571-0970, answering listener emails. You know, we had some other comments during the break. I'm here with producer Kate in studio about texting, and that is really something that has changed the way not just couples, but everybody communicates. And myself, Kate, did not get into texting until I got my iPhone a couple years ago, and now, you know, I really can't live without it. But there are some do's and don'ts with texting, and we should cover that. If you have a texting story or how it's caused you some grief in relationships, again, give us a call, 571-0970. You know, this year it's going to be reported there's going to be like 7 trillion texts in 2011, insane amount. Everybody is probably doing texting, but there are some things that texts do not capture. As far as 80% of communication is through body language, and lots of people get into trouble when they send a text when, again, they should be having a face-to-face conversation, as we said. So you have to know when a conversation should be face-to-face or on the phone. You cannot text in replace of that. And I've worked with lots of people, and so have marriage and family therapists around the country, when they're working with a couple and they're having an argument through text, and that's no good. That does not lead to to a good conversation. So know when to have a face-to-face conversation. Don't do it with text. Don't break bad news on text. Kate, has that ever happened to you? Have you ever had anybody break some news that you really wish you would have heard face-to-face or via the phone at least?
Thank goodness I have not. I have never received something via text. I have received it via Facebook, but not texting.
Right, don't tell somebody, sorry, the relationship's over. Sorry, we're bankrupt. Don't give any bad news like that via the text message. And as we were saying last hour, don't text when you're either inebriated, drunk, when you're really angry. It's not a good idea. When you are on a date with somebody else, or you're in an important meeting, or where someone needs your undivided attention, don't text. It, again, conveys that you're not a good listener, that you don't really want to be there. And also, when you've already sent a lot of messages, our sound man, Tom, says, no self-pics in your underwear, Mr. Wiener. So, yeah, don't text. Don't text any pictures of yourself, because remember, even if it's done in jest, even if you think you're sending it to a confidential person, it's this digital footprint that's going to stay with you forever. And I was saying a second ago, if you're having a conversation with someone, or say you've already sent a bunch of texts to somebody earlier in that day, and you haven't gotten a response, there's probably a reason you haven't gotten a response. So you keep texting over and over to try to get that person's attention is probably not going to work. So if you've already sent a number of texts earlier that day, please don't text anymore until you get a reply. What do you think about those don't texting rules, Kate?
I have to completely agree. I probably average about 3,000 texts a month.
Wow.
My parents are happy with that $10 unlimited texting. I have a lot of friends that are not in the area and I'm not able to see, so that's how we communicate, through texting. Hey, how you doing? I have a lot of acting friends, so they always tell me about interviews or upcoming auditions. So it's great to just, kind of shoot a text here and there. I mean, if it's a real conversation, that's a phone thing. But texting is great to just kind of catch up with someone. It's kind of like a small talk way.
Sure. And I'm in my mid-30s. You're quite a bit younger than that, Kate, and you're of the generation that this is second nature. I'll look and see a young person sometimes. They're just like, their thumbs are going a mile a minute. And I'm amazed that they're actually better texters than they are on a regular keyboard or typers or things like that. So I sometimes feel a little old when I see people doing this, but you're bringing a good point that texting is a great technology. For me, when you need to share brief information, logistical information, i.e. what I need to pick up on the store on the way home for my wife, reminders for important appointments, texting phone numbers, things like that.
Oh, yeah, those grocery lists are amazing, those little text grocery lists.
Right. So we're not saying texting is all bad. It's a great technology. 3,000, that's all. I take it you have an unlimited plan.
I do. I do. Yes.
Also, great things to text are brief statements of encouragement or support. Hey, good job, good luck in that interview. My wife texted me right before I went on the show, wished me well tonight. I really appreciate that. So things like that are great. And also, text work well when they're setting the stage for face-to-face or phone contact later in that day. Like, can't wait to see you if you have a date coming up that night, or you're looking forward to seeing your partner or your spouse. It really primes the pump for intimacy. It sets the stage, and that's really what we're talking about. So texting, if done in the right way, is a good thing. Obviously, don't text and drive. I'm being reminded that's never a good thing. And you'll see people doing that all the time.
I saw a cop doing it yesterday.
Oh, that's not good.
That was disgusting.
To practice what he preaches. But I certainly couldn't live without this technology. If you have a story about technology in your relationship or a question for me, Dr. Eli, licensed marriage and family therapist, or Kate, give us a call, 502-571-0970. We're talking about technology and relationships and texting. And one thing people will tell me is, I meant it as a funny thing. I've seen lots of couples get into fights over text, like, oh, what were you thinking last night? And the partner reacts, what do you mean, what was I thinking? And really the other person meant it as a complimentary thing. Oh, you were so funny. But that is sometimes lost because you cannot judge tone. You cannot judge inflection, anything like that in text. That's the danger you risk when you have these long, drawn-out text conversations is you miss a lot. And the same goes for kind of online chats, instant messaging, things like that. They're very useful tools. And I think it's an amazing technology, especially if you've grown up using it. But if you haven't, you can learn it. So you said you mentioned you were texting with your parents. You find that is a good way to communicate with, again, a couple generations removed?
It really is. My dad is lucky that he can answer the phone and, shoot me a little K on the text message. But it's great if I'm out somewhere with friends and, plans have changed. We're going somewhere instead of, coming straight home. I mean, it's great just to contact with that. But a lot of times it can be bad. I almost lost a good friend over a misunderstanding in text messaging. So
there's all these abbreviations too that you have to know, and I mean I don't know, OMG, LMA, what F? I don't know what
LMFA.
Yes,
laughing my butt off. Yeah.
Yes. So there's a lot of those things, and I think almost you need like a second dictionary.
Those little quips.
Right. That's how I know them. I work with a lot of teenagers, and sometimes I'm starting to think I'm aging out of that market because sometimes they'll make references or they'll have abbreviations on their text, and I won't know what they mean. So
they even do that when they're writing now, like writing emails. They just say BRB. And you're thinking, can't you just use the actual language? I mean, I hate when people do that, even talking to you on the phone. It's just people need to remember that there is a language.
There is a language, but that's what Google's for, too. So whenever I don't have my shorthand for my text, I look at Google. So we're talking relationships and technology. We've talked about Facebook so far. We've talked about texting, about tweeting. Your calls appreciated, 571-0970. It's a 502. This is Eli Karam. We're with Kate in studio. Give us a call. Send us an email answering emails that come through that I answer on Louisville Live every Monday at 10 a.m. In the next segment, we're going to talk about online dating, long-distance relationships, other things like that. Technology and you, technology and relationships on the Dr. Stan Frager Show.
With Dr. Stan Frager, helping you make sense of life's daily challenges and much more on 970 WGTK.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years.
Dr. Eli back with you. We're talking technology and relationships this hour. Call us, 502-571-0970. We're going to start talking about long-distance relationships. Now, maybe you've been in one, maybe you haven't, but they are unique, and they take some special type of skills. And I've gotten a lot of emails. I'll summarize the different ones we've had. People want to know what predicts if you'll be successful in a long-distance relationship or not. We can tell you a little bit about the research and the clinical wisdom. But, again, call in if you have a question for us. What area code are we in, Kate?
We are in the 502 area
We're
code.
in the 502. All right. That's a little shout-out to Dr. Stan. He'll be back with us next week. So we have Gene on the phone. Let's hear from Gene. Gene, what's going on?
Hi, I wanted to make an observation that I had seen with I think more the younger generation is you get a group of kids together and they're not talking, they're texting one another. And I think our younger generation is losing that chance to really converse and understand and learn how to speak to one another. And I don't know if this is just a passing thing or if is it going to be something that this is the way it's going to be, that it's all going to be computerized and, we're not going to hear the human voice.
Thanks so much for calling, Jane. Jane's making the comment that she's observing that this younger generation, rather than reaching out and touch someone via the phone, if you will, or face-to-face, people are just choosing as their primary mode of communication texting. They'd prefer to actually do it. And I know that's something I've observed, too, and it is a different technology and a different type of skill developed. And I think a lot of times parents do encourage their children, hey, go out and get together, and a lot of people, they wait now to initiate things through text, and young people will tell you they like that. I know the people I work with, and some of the work on this says the same thing. Young people like it because they can have multiple conversations with people at the same time. I'm texting back and forth with this person while I'm chatting with this person while I'm watching TV in the background. So this idea that we are in a culture where people are multitasking, doing many things, and some young people, teenagers, grow up doing that. So certainly, I do think it's an accurate observation, Jane, that is replacing a form of a communication that many people are used to, which is actually calling somebody up, establishing things face to face. Lots of people would rather communicate via text. All right, back to long distance relationships we were talking about. And you can call us again at 571-0970. 502 and give your observation. Long-distance relationships work when there is an end in sight, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are in an open-ended long-distance relationship, we may or may eventually be in the same place. You're probably not going to do too well, because if you have an end date in sight, even if it's next year or next month, you know that you're going to be with that person. So there is a plan. A lack of plan equals unmet expectations, waiting, hoping. So you need to have, with you and your partner, an end date in sight. So we're moving here for your career, waiting for you to finish school. But when we know that's going to come to an end, we have a better way to mentally prepare for it. People in long-distance relationships do better when they have refined communication skills. Because remember, you're not going to be seeing that person every day. So you have to rely on a lot of the technologies we've been talking about the past 2 hours. You have to rely on good written communication. You have to have good phone contact. And Skype now, we haven't mentioned that, Kate. Skype has changed the way people communicate, too. Video chat, that you can see the person online. And it's not a complete makeup for being there, but it helps a lot. We're talking communication and relationships. We'll be back. This is the Dr. Stan Frager Show. Dr. Eli sitting in.
Calling Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Frager.
You found Let's Talk with Dr. Stan Frager. Dr. Stan Frager is standing by to give you insight on issues that matter most to you. Call now, 571-0970.
Dr. Eli back with you. We got Kate in the booth with us, and Tom Mitchell on the board, and we got 2 segments left. We're talking relationships and technology. Most recently talking about long-distance relationships and what you need to have to be successful in them, including, good communication skills and knowing when you're going to see that other person. Kate, you said you had a story about LDRs, as they're called, long-distance relationships.
I do. I have a roommate, and her and her boyfriend met together, but she went off to college and he stayed back home. And she told me that if they had gone to the same college, they would not be together. So apparently, I don't know how that's gonna affect them in the long run, but they just. Apparently, some people can't stand to be together. I mean, I guess it makes the time that you are together more special, more intimate.
Well, it brings another point. How did the relationship start? Some people will actually start the relationship as long distance, meaning that they don't know what it's like to occupy the same space, to either live together or even be in the same town, versus other people. They were together, and then because of someone's work, school, career, what have you, they had to be separate. So those are important factors to know. One other tip I can give you is you need to know when the next time you're going to see that person. Don't ever leave an encounter without having something to look forward to. So those people that know when the long distance is going to end, that's important, but also when you're going to see the person the next time. Everybody says that helps the psyche. It gets you through. Something to look forward to, building anticipation. And it should also be equal. A lot of times, I work with couples or an individual say, yeah, I'm in this long-distance relationship, and, I've gone there the last 6 times. She's just too busy to come and see me, or she's just got too much going on to make the trip. Well, that doesn't seem balanced to me. Another predictor of a good long-distance relationship, when possible, it's reciprocal as far as you're going there as much as the person is coming to see you. You got any questions or of your own long-distance relationship experience or your opinion on technology and relationships, please give us a call. You still have time. Area code 502-571-0970. Let's talk about online dating. Gets lots of questions about online dating. You ever tried that, Kate?
I have never tried online dating. I don't know. I'm too much of a people person, and I love to talk, so I don't think I could do the online. I need someone face-to-face to see if I'm boring them or if I need to hush up for a while.
Well, lots of people say, I could never try that, or that just seems like, I don't know. I'd have to be pretty desperate to try that. But, so many advances, especially in the last 10 to 15 years, have happened in online dating. And
yeah, they say 80% of relationships now start online. So.
It is amazing, as we've been talking about this whole 2 hours, how technology has changed relationships. And I guess we have some tips for you, too, if you're thinking about doing that. And I would say I have a question here, came in on my website from Fred in E-Town. He says, Dr. Eli, I'm considering online dating. What's your opinion about me finding a love match this way? Well, I don't know you, Fred, but I will tell you some guidelines. You first have to determine what type of service is best for you. And I don't need to tell you the name. I'm not promoting any particular service, but generally you get what you pay for. And some of those services, they can be quite pricey, but they have a lot of research as far as personality research, matchmaking, how aligning people up. But you have to determine how they do that. So are you with a service that is looking at these core personality variables, characteristics, like if you're an open or you're an introvert, are they matching you up with another introvert? If you're an extrovert, are they matching you up with one of those? So you want to know, is the service using sophisticated personality profiles to match you up with somebody? Are they using shared behaviors or shared interests, things you like to do in your free time? And all of that should be easily spelled out when you go to the website. And you should think about, if you're going to do it, even a lot of sites will offer, 1 month free or this and that. You should try to do it for the long haul, as far as really give it a chance to see if it's going to work. And for most people, it's a myth that you're going to find your love match the minute you log on. For some people, it's very different. I've had success stories that have come into my office, or people have told me anecdotally that it's taken them 6 months to sometimes a year before they really got used to the technology till they met someone they really liked online. So be willing to invest in that. If you're just in for a quick hit, probably won't work. You need to follow the important online safety tips in dating. And these websites, many of them have it set up so that you don't have to reveal any personal information until you really feel comfortable knowing that person. Certainly not giving out your phone number or any other contact information like that. You kind of feel it out, and only when you're ready do you choose to give out that information. So you have to follow those dating safety tips. If you're going to do this, you need to learn effective written communication techniques, as so many of the things we've said. If you're not much of a writer and someone is asking you in-depth questions and you say, I don't know, or you're answering in short sentences, probably not going to get to know that person. You're probably not going to get a lot of hits on your profile. So generally people that do well online dating, they're pretty good at writing. They like to express themselves in the written form. And that is an essential if you're going to invest in this type of technology. Post recent photos. Kate, you ever seen that? When you've seen a photo of someone on one of these various technologies we've talked about tonight, and then you actually meet the person, and it doesn't look like them at all. They've posted a misleading photograph. How does that make you feel?
That makes me feel like they're pretty shady. Not a fan of people who distort. I mean, there's a thing with distorting it and completely just lying about it. I mean, there are the apps of everything, like where you can change your face, change the icon, all that stuff. But I mean, if you're really going out there to mislead someone, you probably should. You just should not even touch that type of technology.
That's right. You should post a recent photo, ladies and gentlemen. And part of doing this is being comfortable with who you are. And only relationships are built on trust and transparency. And if you start out that way by misrepresenting themselves, or if you're not comfortable with who you are, no matter what you look like,
you should not be online.
That's right. And you can crop a photo very closely, and you can use Photoshop, but the best policy is always honestly show what you really look like. Have some good lighting, but show what you really look like.
Right.
Following that,
no uglies, no fatties.
That's right. That's Sue
Sylvester.
Sue Sylvester from Glee. No uglies, no fatties. Don't lie or misrepresent. Obviously, as I said, be transparent, not just in your picture, but with everything. Remember, this is not a game. This is not a con. It's an extension. Hopefully, you're really going to meet this person and build a friendship. If it turns into a romance, great. But how can you build a friendship or any type of relationship on things that are less than truthful? So if you can't be truthful with yourself, it's probably not a good time to venture into online dating or any type of relationship. And another tip, my last tip, and this seems like a no-brainer, Kate, but you'd be surprised how many times this burned people. Stay away from married people. You figured, why would I be married and have an online profile at a Match.com or an eHarmony or your favorite online dating site? So, well, people do that. And for a lot of people, you need to know your list of deal breakers. And if that's not on your list, being married, it should be. These are some tips that you can take with you as you venture into the online dating market. Again, I think it is a great technology, and I've met tons of people over the last 10 years that have had success. And it used to be something that people had a negative stigma attached to it. Oh, I would never do that, or I'm young, or I still have lots of opportunity. But there are great services out there. They'll match you on these personality and behavior compatibility scales, and it's really a great way to meet someone, especially if you're new in an area or you've just gotten out of a relationship. A lot of people turn to online dating after they've ended a relationship. We got one segment left. 571-0970, the 502 area code. Dr. Stan Frager Show. This is Eli Karam.
9. Dr. Stan Frager, helping you make sense of life's daily challenges and much more on 970 WGTK.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years.
Dr. Eli back with you in our last segment. We're talking technology and relationships. I have another email that I got in. I just want to read for you. Janet writes, Dear Dr. Eli, I recently moved to Louisville and I'm looking for a new therapist. The last psychologist I saw wasn't really comfortable talking about my relationship problems. What should I look for in a therapist? Is a professional with a PhD better than a therapist with someone with a master's degree? What is the difference between a counselor, psychologist, clinical social worker, and MFT, which stands for Marriage and Family Therapist? Well, I appreciate the question, Janet. You should know MFTs, marriage and family therapists, instead of focusing on people as their problems or deficit or pathology, they focus on health or strength, which also is nice for people, because sometimes when they come in and talk to somebody about their problems, especially their relationship problems, they want to know that somebody can see the strength and health. And the relationship is the important thing to a marriage and family therapist. They do not view you in isolation. They view you in all your important interpersonal contexts. What's going on at home, with your partner, at work, with your coworkers, in the family that you grew up in, what you call your family of origin. So it's very important. And a lot of other people ask me as we were running down here on time, how do I get my partner to come with me to therapy, Dr. Eli? It's a relational issue, whether we're talking about technology and relationships or what have you. Well, you need to frame it as a couple issue. Honey, what's going on with you? Sometimes I get frustrated at you, but I really know I have a part in that too, and we need some skills. And if you frame it as that way, skills versus you're the problem, better chance of you getting there. Include your partner in the selection process of the therapist. Any MFT you go to should be able to give you a brief consult. You should get a flavor of what they're like and assess fit, because it is important that you find someone that is a good fit for you. Most couple and family therapy now is covered by your insurance. So if you have insurance benefits, you can do that, or you can find other low-cost alternatives. We have some great clinics. I'm a professor at the Kent School of Social Work, where our students are housed, 7 counties, families, and children's throughout the Louisville area, where you can get help, even if you don't have insurance or have a lot of money. As I said, MFTs are going to focus on relationship health rather than pathology or deficit, which is really good if you need help. Do the proper research. Go to www.therapistlocator.net or www.kamft.org. That's the Kentucky Association for Marriage and Family Therapy, of which I'm the president-elect. Man, 2 hours have gone fast. We've had a lot of fun here tonight. Tom in the booth, Kate with me. Kate, what do we got coming up next week on Dr. Frager's show?
We're talking about wealth, and we're talking about the APO gene diet. The gene diet is something new, so you're going to have to listen in to learn all about it.
I've had a great time. Thank you, Dr. Stan, making me a part of the Sunday Night Family once again. Hope to be back. Have a lovely rest of your weekend.
.970 W.